I recently received an email request from one of my former students who asked me to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. They know that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done so many different companies, and I absolutely love, love, love buying and selling companies and doing what I do. Currently, I have 4 or 5 different companies that I'm operating, and it's just been awesome. It's been absolutely amazing. So the question becomes, can you identify a bad entrepreneur very quickly, and what makes you notice who they are? How do you be a good, well respected founder and entrepreneur? What does that take? Well, I recalled a dinner that a group of people had together. They were all 40ish or so young entrepreneurs. And as you'd expect, there were a lot of enthusiastic founders and lots of pitches about projects they're working on. But there was one person in particular who stood out. This guy was clearly passionate about entrepreneurship and the startup he was building. He was so excited. He shared how he'd spent the summer in a corporate internship he didn't enjoy, but as soon as his workday ended, he would meet his co-founders and they'd work on their startup late until evening. Eventually, I had to ask. I said, "Give me a quick pitch for your startup." He lit up with excitement and he looked straight at me and he said, "Well, we're building a..." I didn't hear the rest of the sentence because honestly, I just stopped listening. I could tell where this was going, and it wasn't going to be anywhere good. I cut him off mid sentence, and I said, "I'm sure it seemed a little rude, but I needed to seize the moment and teach a valuable lesson. Look, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but the moment you started talking about what you're building, you lost me." And he looked so confused, and I could tell he wasn't sure what he was doing wrong. After all, he probably spent months building whatever it is, pouring his heart and soul into it. And here I was telling him that he was doing it wrong. I get it, but he was making one of the most common mistakes young entrepreneurs make. And the sooner they learn it, the sooner they avoid it, right? The harsh truth is entrepreneurship isn't just about building things, it's about solving a problem. I want to say that again. Entrepreneurship is not about building things, it's about solving a problem. If any of you have ever taken my product owner class, advanced product owner class, any of my advanced classes, I always teach that when we talk about vision and strategy, the number one most important thing you can do is identify a problem that you're trying to solve. And I often follow that up with people love to spend money on kids and pets. Those two topics are the things that you need to nail if you're going to be a strong entrepreneur. You need to be able to give that pitch quite effectively. In other words, the moment you start talking about what you're building instead of the problem you're trying to solve, you missed a complete point of entrepreneurship. And you're losing sight of the people that you're supposed to be helping and serving. I can tell you personally, guilty as charged, that in the early days, I made this mistake way more times than I can count. I made this mistake a lot. Founders get fixated on the products they're building. They dive into features, what technology's behind it, the design. They want to tell you every little detail. They'll sit there and talk your ear off about the intricacies of their solutions and the process, but they totally forget that the customers don't want to hear about the products. The customers want to know, how are you going to help them solve their problems? What have you done for me lately? The importance of solving customers' problems means anytime an entrepreneur starts their pitches with, "Well, we're building a," or "Our product does this," that's like a red flag. It's a huge warning sign that the entrepreneur is focused on the wrong things. Luckily, it's an easy problem to fix. All you have to do is change the way you frame your conversation about your startup or about your pitch. Instead of discussing what you're building, start by discussing the people you're helping. Okay? So I often give this spiel, and I'm going to give the spiel one more time. So Jeffrey Moore wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm, and in that book he talks about the elevator pitch. And in a discussion with Mark Cuban, we were talking about how to leverage the elevator pitch and how people in Shark Tank fail because they can't do this in 45 seconds, or if they can, they're doing it wrong. And it should always start with for our target audience. Now, if you don't know who your target audience is, that means you have homework to do. The first thing you need to do is help figure out who your target audience is and why they are your target audience. That should be number one on your checklist. You need to know who you are servicing. Who is there? Who are you trying to build this product or service for? So we have for our target audience. And the next line is who is suffering from this problem or issue. And it's one of those things where right out of the gate, I want to identify what connects us to the pain point that the customers are feeling. You need to start by making them feel like they're the center of your story, not the product that you built, right? So for our target audience who is struggling with this major problem, our product is this type of product that provides this key benefit or compelling reason to buy it. Unlike our known competitor's product or service, our product is different or better for this reason. And this pitch, this elevator pitch, if you will, should be something that you can say in 45 seconds, and it identifies to who, what, where, why, when, and how. I don't know if you kept up with that, but it's for who, why, the what is the more defined what, that how. Unlike why, when is important, our product provides value where. So you're answering who, what, where, when, why, how. Anytime you can bust out with that, that's going to make your story more compelling because you started with the target audience, which is something that they should be able to relate to, and the problem that they're struggling with that you're going to make better. And I suspect the reason that entrepreneurs fall into the trap about talking about what they're creating instead of the consumer need is because entrepreneurs are naturally builders by nature. They get excited about creating things, and they spend so much time immersed in a product that the product becomes the focal point, not the people. And that's when you see trouble. And another good way to describe this is even with the elevator pitch, I hear people say, for our target audience, instead of for our target audience who is struggling with this problem, they say for our target audience who has this need. Okay, I'm going to ask you, which one's more compelling? For children who need a bicycle or for children who have blister covered feet from walking on hot pavement? All I know is that second group, those children, they need better shoes and a bicycle, right? It's one of those things where if you identify the problem, it makes the pitch more compelling. Okay? So the secret here is that the most successful startups, the most successful entrepreneurs, the most successful product owners, they always start with a deep understanding of the problem. And they immerse themselves into customers' lives. They create personas that make sense. And the emphasis on solving the problem isn't just advice for pitching. It's fundamental for how every founder should approach entrepreneurship in general. The real job of an entrepreneur isn't just to build things. It's to identify and solve problems. Success isn't measured by how cool your product is or how many features it has. It's measured by how well you solve a problem and the group of people and what they're willing to pay for that solution. If you start understanding the problem better, you're able to create a solution that genuinely meets the needs of the customers. And as a result, you're not just building for the sake of building, you're building something that has value. And that ability to create value is what creates the key difference between a startup that thrives and a startup that fails. That's going to do it, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. We would love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.